So today's video is going to be a quick tutorial. I'm going to teach you guys how to make a wig in 30 minutes or less. This is my favorite technique to make my wigs. It is kind of like a quick weave wig type of thing, but as you can see, it comes out really beautiful. There isn't really much difference between the quick weave wig and the sew-in, but afterwards, of course, I will tell you the pros and cons to this method. This beautiful water wave hair I do have in the lengths 22, 22, and a 20, and then there's a lace frontal 13 by 4 inches, and it is 18 inches. I do have an extra bundle that I did not need, and I'll show this to you as well, but this is the hair after it's styled. I did custom cut it a little bit and kind of cut the ends off, probably about 2 inches. I don't know, for some reason I just wanted the hair to be a little bit more short. So I'm not going to waste your time. For those of you who are here for the tutorial, let's jump into it, and then I'll be back with my thoughts on this hair. Okay, for starters, we're going to use a mesh dome cap. I feel like the more cap you have, the better the tracks will stick to it. So if you can use like a regular dome cap, that's great. I prefer the mesh ones. Now you're going to take your lace frontal and you're going to use your T-pins to basically place it over your cap of choice. I usually slide mine about 2 inches in front of the cap, and then I use as many T-pins as I need to secure it down the center and then on each side. And that's pretty much how it should look. And then I'm going to go ahead and use a scrunchie to get the hair out of the way. Now this is what it should look like. There should be a flap kind of to make like a M. If it's not like that, then it's probably not going to lay properly. Now I'm going to needle and thread, or thread my needle. Make sure you put enough so that you don't have to run out while you're sewing. And now we're going to get to sewing. It's very simple. I'm not going to use any special technique. You can use whatever technique you can or whatever you want. Some people go under, some people go over. I usually will go under. And some people also do the like loop it whenever they go through it. I don't even know what that's called, but this is just all I do. It's very simple, no, magic tricks or anything like that. Just sew all the way through. You do want to make sure that you sew through as close as possible, and that's going to help the lace frontal to lay flat and not bulk up or move. Now when I get to the other side, a lot of the times I find that as I sew so close, the opposite side will get a little bit loose. So I just removed the T-pin and adjusted it to make it more taut and reapply it. If you notice on both sides, the ends of the lace frontal do hang like further than the mesh dome cap. Basically, it'll be like the ear tab so that when I bond the wig down in the front, that'll lay really nicely if you want to have like baby hair or your little sideburns. And we're pretty much almost at the home stretch. I feel like when you're doing a 30-minute wig, the lace frontal, basically sewing that down, is going to be what takes the longest. But once that's done, it's going to be super easy just to glue down your tracks. And then once I get to the end, I just cut a little bit of it off, and then I like to triple knot it to make sure that it's not going to ever come up, and then cut off the excess thread. And this is pretty much what it should look like, pretty even. Now I'm going to take my hot glue gun, and once it's heated up, I'm going to go ahead and just start gluing the tracks down. Some people do not like to glue or sew on the mesh band. I find that sometimes that works better as far as making sure the cap still fits really tight at the nape of your neck, but it's gonna look a little bit weird if there's that huge space of that thick band and there's no hair on it, basically. So when the wind blows, when you put your hair in front on your shoulders, it might look a little bit weird. So I just go ahead and do it, and it works fine for me. But of course, it will fit a little bit tighter around the nape of your neck if you do choose to not glue on the
band. And then there's a little thing at the end of your hot glue gun. I don't know what that's called, but right there. I use that to kind of push the glue into both the cap and the hair so that it meets really nicely, because the glue is really hot, so you do not want to get it on yourself, or you do not want to touch it, because it burns like really bad. Trust me, I've burnt myself many times and it's like really hot. You also want to make sure that you go ahead and get a nice thick amount of glue, because if you do like a thin layer, you're going to find that it's more likely that your glue will come up or your tracks will come up. Try to keep your tracks as even as possible going across. And you just go across all the way till you get to the top. I did fast forward, and you are going to see that I am going to cut the camera off for a little bit and get a few tracks done, just because you kind of get redundant. A nice thick layer, and just lay your track. I usually will lay down about glue halfway, lay the track, and then glue the other halfway, lay the track. And then make sure it gets tacky, and then I cut. Now I'm going to go to my second pack of 22-inch. Glue halfway, lay the track, press it in as much as I can, glue the other halfway, or the remainder of the half, press it in, and then cut the excess track. Now I'm going to use about 2.5 bundles. Standard, usually that's about what I use no matter what texture the hair is. And you will find that when you get to the top, it's going to seem like you're almost done, but you're going to use almost a whole pack of hair, or a whole bundle of hair once you get to the top. So make sure that you're spacing it and keeping an eye on how much hair you have, because you do not want to run out when you get to the top. Like, that's literally the worst thing that can happen. Again, make sure that you are putting enough glue. You rather put a lot of glue than a little bit of glue, because you really want it to be able to adhere to your dome cap. And also, whenever you remove it from the mesh dome cap, it kind of will make it easier for the tracks to come apart, if that makes any sense. Right there, I kind of did a track like a little bit more than half of the way, just because I found that the way I was gluing it was uneven, so I kind of wanted to catch it up and make it even going all the way around. Now we've kind of reached the top, and this is where we're going to just go straight across. This is going to help the wig to lay super flat if you want to do it like straight back or a center part or any kind of style. It's just going to make it lay super flat. And you literally just go across, lay a nice thick layer of glue, add your track, let it get a little bit tacky before you cut off the excess hair, and then move on to the next. Again, this is kind of where it gets tricky, because it looks like you're at the end of making your wig, so you think, oh, I don't really need that much hair, but you will find that you will use at least like 2/3 of a bundle here. And if you want it to be a little bit tighter and closer together, you can literally use a whole pack right here. So if you have like half a pack left, just make sure that you space it enough so that you won't run out when you get to the very top. Again, don't forget to make sure you're pressing those tracks in. The glue will dry and harden regardless, but you want to make sure that that track is really touching the dome cap, and not just being like spaced in between the glue, if that makes any sense. Also, make sure that you are putting a nice thick layer of glue, because you can never have too much glue when it comes to making sure that your wig is bonded and none of your tracks will come up. any glue that you see, like any excess glue, once it completely dries, you will be able to pick it apart and it will peel off really easily. The only downside to this is I would not recommend washing the wig or getting it wet in the cap. It won't completely make the wig come apart, but it will loosen it and make it more likely that your tracks will come apart, which is why I consider this like a quick weave method, simply because you won't be able to wash it over and over and over again. Obviously Coco wants to be in the video, so that was her saying hello with those fake coughs, but we're pretty much done. That was the very last track. And you want to cut that off, and now you can go ahead and pick out all the excess glue. I'm going to take my secret weapon, this black hairspray, and I'm just going to go over anywhere that I see white, because that white is basically the dried up glue. Like I said, you can pick it off with your fingers as much as you can, and where you feel like you can't get it off, just take a little bit of black hairspray. That way when the wind blows, when you part your hair a certain way, you don't have to worry about that white, thick white glue showing. And this really works like a dream to make this form of a wig look super seamless. They do have it in natural brown and other colors too, so if the black is too harsh for you, try a brown. I just feel like the black is reminiscent of dark roots. And voila. Now I'm going to pull the lace closure back, or lace frontal rather, and all of that excess cap that is underneath where the lace closure sits, I'm going to remove. And I'm not going to throw that away. I'm going to actually use that as the elastic band to secure my wig. I do have a few tutorials on how to secure wigs using an elastic band. I'll have one or both linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now onto my thoughts on this hair.
So thumbs up for getting a wig done in 30 minutes or less. I did cut the camera because I started like late at night and I was like, okay, I got 15 minutes before I need to be in bed. Let's get it started. And then this morning I went ahead and finished it off. I did use my handy dandy secret weapon, which is black hairspray. If you've ever made a wig using the quick weave method or the hot glue method, then you know one of the downsides is that sometimes you get that glue on your tracks. And once it dries white. So like if the wind blows a little bit, you might see a little bit of white there. A black spray or black hairspray is literally a godsend when it comes to that. I use this like after I'm done with gluing the wigs. Anywhere that I see white, I usually would try and like peel it off. And usually if you peel it off, it'll come off just fine. But if it's stubborn and it won't come off, like wherever I see white, I'll just go in and spray with the black hairspray. And that way, no matter how the wind blows or anything, you won't be able to detect any of that glue. This one I'll have linked down below, and I really do love this one. As for the hair itself, again, I do have in two 20-inch bundles, a 20-inch bundle, actually only half of that 20-inch bundle, and then an 18-inch 13x4 lace frontal. And yeah, it literally took me about 30 minutes to make the wig. The hardest part, or the part that takes the longest, is aligning the frontal and sewing that down. But once you have that done, it's just like start gluing, start gluing, start gluing, and it gets quick as you go along. This is the hair in its natural state, and I believe this is a 20-inch bundle. Actually, this is an 18-inch bundle. And you guys can see how full this is. This is pretty much 2.5 bundles in a frontal, and it's super full. I believe I mentioned it already, but in case I forgot, I did custom cut this hair just because, I don't know, for some reason I wanted something a little bit shorter today. So I did take off maybe about 2 inches, which is not that much. And then I also kind of did trim it around just so it can frame my face a little bit better. The frontal itself is a little bit dense. I bleached the knots, but it definitely needs to be customized around the hairline. And I started to do that on the camera for you guys, but I decided maybe I would do that in a separate video because making a wig is a lot to take in. So maybe I'll do this one, and then the next video I'll show you guys how to customize the hairline to make it look a little bit more natural. But bleaching the knots is definitely the first step in making it look a little bit more natural, especially because I kind of wanted it in my face anyway. I felt like it was okay to not necessarily tweeze or pluck the hairline today. Let me show you guys what the curl pattern looks like from the back. And again, this hair does come from Wiggins hair. They do have really nice hair. All I used in the hair to style it was my wet, which if you watch my videos, I always use that, and a little bit of water, and that was it. I also did use a little edge control on the edges to make a little bit of baby hair, but not too much. And yeah, that pretty much is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick tutorial. Hopefully you guys can make your wigs in 30 minutes or less as well. Also, make sure that you subscribe and share this video with your friends. Like if you like to see more tutorials on how to make your own wigs, because ultimately the goal is to teach you guys how to make your wigs at home and save a couple coins, because I know it gets really expensive spending hundreds on hair, hundreds on getting it done, and then you have to go back in 6 weeks and get it done again or less. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.